Welcome to the Pathfinder podcast. Here you'll find inspiration to start a business, or if you already own a business, to take it to the next level. I'm Lori Gama, and my guest today is June Lemmings. Welcome, June.
Thank you, Lori. I really appreciate the opportunity, and especially this is my first ever chance to be on a podcast, so I'm very blessed that it's with one of my friends and fellow business owners.
Oh, how special.
Thank you.
Wow, thanks. I'm going to read an introduction about you so our viewers know a little bit about you before we start our juicy conversation.
Sounds great.
June Lemmings is a successful business owner of a top producing real estate team in northern Colorado. She also is a realtor matchmaker nationwide. She has co-authored a book, Voices of Hope, and it's listed as an Amazon bestseller, Voices of Hope. Through her more than 20 years of helping buyers and sellers, she believes in going the extra mile for her clients to help them not only find the perfect home, but to help them transition and thrive successfully in their community. She has won many top awards, from being voted Best Realtor in Greeley, Colorado for 5 years in a row, and her team has been voted Best Real Estate Office for 4 out of the last 5 years. She has been recognized as one of the top 100 teams and individuals in Colorado for multiple years, and nationwide in the top 2% for numbers of transaction sides per year. She has received many other awards, including the 5-Star Realtor Award for 2023 through 2024. In addition to being a top Northern Colorado realtor and successful business owner, she's married to Jared. She's a mother of 2 adult children, 3 adult bonus children, and 1 grandson. She loves spending time in Colorado outdoors with her family and friends and enjoys all our beautiful state has to offer. So, June, can you share your journey into becoming a successful business owner? Did you ever dream that when you were a young woman that you would grow up to be a successful business owner and a realtor?
No, I had no idea. I had a dream to own a home when I was a kid. That was super important to me. It was one of my goals, and never did I ever imagine that I was going to be a business owner. I actually was a realtor for a while. I built a team, and at one point I was working for Sears Real Estate, and they weren't set up to have teams. And I had asked my employing broker about buying a commercial building, and she said, no, you either have to office at work at the office or at home. So my husband built our first office in the top of his shop. So that's where it all started in Greeley.
That's cool, and I remember that office. It was really cool. Jared did a great job.
Thank you.
So what else can you share about, what inspired you to get on the path of becoming a realtor?
Okay, so actually, that's another funny story. And in a way, maybe not funny. I was in a bad relationship, and it took me a while to get out of it because I had bought my first home. And I blocked myself, and I had fear. I thought I would never be able to buy a home again. So it did take me a while to start over. When I finally started over, I moved back to Greeley, and I was looking in the Greeley Tribune, and there was this ad that said, why rent when you can own? And I was like, since I'll never be able to buy a home again, I may as well call on this ad. I talked to a real estate investor, and he actually had a vacant home in Eaton. And he said, June, why don't you come work for me? I won't be able to pay you, but I'll make your house payment for a few months while you got on your feet. So that's how it all started. I kind of learned backwards from real estate investing. So I look at properties more as an investment than at the retail side.
Cool. So it's a good thing that you allowed yourself to say yes to that, because look where you are now by taking that one chance.
That is so true. And also, just to add to that, Lori, I had really bad credit because of the situation I was in. It took me 2 years to rebuild my credit, and I was able to buy a home 2 years later. I went through the Dave Ramsey course a couple times and started at the bottom and paid everything off my credit. And I was so happy to be able to buy and own my own home.
That's awesome. And I'm sure you're helping a lot of people that might be in that same situation.
Yeah. My goal and my passion is to help people have home ownership and help them understand the importance of it.
That's awesome. What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced when you first started out in your business? Whether it be as a solo realtor or at the point where you started to build a team?
Okay, so the biggest challenges was not having any money. Being a single mom, I mean, I prayed when I used my debit card at the gas station that I was going to have enough money to have gas. I didn't have child support or anything. So I would say those were some of the biggest challenges. But when I got into real estate, I did not know what I didn't know. So I didn't join like the right, like to get training or anything like that. It was a pretty rough market. I went to kind of more of an independent office with Metro Brokers, and it was a lot of agents that had a lot of experience, but there was just no training, and they were pretty negative about the market. So I had to kind of separate myself to be really positive and just not know what I didn't know so I could be successful. I had to feed my kids.
Yeah. That I was just going to ask you, what made you stay positive? Was that the reason?
Well, that you have to survive.
Right.
I mean, otherwise I wasn't going to be able to support my kids.
Right.
So that, and I've always been very growth oriented, and I think that that's really helped me a lot.
Right. You probably read a lot. And
Oh yeah. And when I had time, and so I've done a lot of podcast, reading, everything, and I've always been driven to get certification so I can really specialize, so I can provide that best service for my clients.
Right. I too believe in continually learning, because without reading constantly, I would attribute that to being able myself to stay ahead and to like be first to the market with some of the services we've provided
Exactly.
over the years.
Exactly. And you'll notice because the market's constantly changing, what somebody says, happened 2 weeks ago, it's changing to today. Right. So you have to be very quick to pivot and adapt and be flexible.
Especially in real estate.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Yep.
And then add into that equation AI. I don't know
how
much artificial intelligence is playing
It
in
is.
the field yet.
It is definitely affecting everything from, descriptions on properties to, it makes your life simpler, but you also have to be careful with it as well.
Exactly. That's great advice about AI. So what key piece of advice would you give to fellow business owners, whether they're in real estate or not?
Okay. So the key advice is really learning from somebody else. Like I wish I would have known, like, join a team in real estate, join a team, work for somebody else. If you want to own a certain type of business, like you want to be a counselor, then go work for a counselor for a few years so you can learn the ins and outs, which that would have helped me jump years forward instead of having to learn the hard way.
Right. Having mentors also helps.
Huge. And accountability too.
Oh, absolutely. Because we can say to ourselves or even write down goals, but when we have an accountability partner, that helps so much more.
It does.
How do you balance being your company's leader, you're a mom, you're a wife, you're a grandmother too, and you're a philanthropist and a community volunteer? How do you balance it all and still have fun yourself?
So I'm not the most balanced person.
Is anybody balanced? Right?
And my hobby is my family and work.
That's good.
I mean, I actually love what I do, but I would say that I've learned tricks, and then I'm also in a different stage of life right now. So like at one stage, my kids with sports, that was like my favorite thing. Right now, since I'm an empty nester, we try to have family day on Sundays where the kids come over to have dinner, play games, whatever. That helps me a lot. That fills my cup. And then I have a lot of friends that are business owners where we do things together and we're able to give back to the community. Northern Colorado Women in Business. I have a lot of friends in that. We do a lot of stuff together with Chris. I know. I think that's where I met you years ago.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. And I would say now I've learned I don't sleep as much as I should, and then just really having a good daily routine where you can sometimes I feel like I get 8 hours worth of work done first thing in the morning before some people even start their day.
Yeah. I've heard of some people who break their day up into they put 3 days into 24 hours, like from 6 a.m. to noon is one day for them, and then noon to 6 is a second day, and then 6 to midnight is a third day.
Yeah.
And then they get like 6 hours of sleep, and I don't know if I could go at that pace.
No. I think one other thing I have to mention is I have an amazing team. Amazing, where they're able to help me be more efficient. So I'm like the big idea person. They're the implementers. So that helps me a lot as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, where would we be without our teams?
Exactly.
And to any business owners who are solopreneurs right now and they're thinking of going, I remember being at that stage where I had to decide, should I hire one person? Can I afford it? What's going to happen? And I read this book called The E-Myth Revisited, and he talks about
exactly
doing that. And it's really great when you hire the right person. Then you have more time to develop business, and then you can afford to bring on more people, and it just builds from there as long as you keep implementing standard operating procedures and treat your people great, of course.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, values. I always have had values, but I had to learn by reading a book years and years ago that there is such a thing as actually writing down your values and living them every day. What does it mean to you when I say the word values? Like, what comes to mind? Like, for me, community is a value, integrity, vision. I mean, there's so many different things that are values of mine. Can you name a few of yours?
Yeah. So my biggest value is the golden rule. I feel like treating other people or treat them better than you even want to be treated. And it all comes back. But my community is huge value, just ethics and doing the right thing. Always doing the right thing is so important, and treating people with respect. I think respect is a huge thing, and generosity is one of my favorite things.
Yeah, you live that value. I see you exemplify that a lot.
Yeah. One last thing, being growth minded. I don't know if that's a value, but it's just huge to me about I get bored if I'm not growing. So green and growing instead of being ripe and rotten,
Right, right, yeah, absolutely, yep. What are three top things that have helped you grow your business? Can you think of 1, 2, or 3 things that really catapulted it, took it to the next level?
So the first would be being in coaching and having accountability. It's like when you work out with a trainer. I have a trainer, Justin Rogers. He owns Team Rogers. He's like the #1 bodybuilding coach. Having somebody like that, but as your business coach. So now I've been in the core coaching, and they coach the top 2% of lenders and realtors in the United States. And I've had pleasure and pain of being in that for the last 7.5 years, but it's made me grow so much. And now I've been a coach in that for the last 6 months.
Wow,
so
congratulations.
Thank you. So that's been the biggest thing, because when you go work out, if somebody's there, you're going to work harder if they're pushing you than you doing it by yourself.
Right.
I mean, we all know what to do, but if somebody's pushing us, you're going to do that much better.
Yeah.
So that's #1. My #2 would be gratitude. From working through foreclosures to COVID, all the stuff, there's so much stuff happening in the world, the political stuff, everything else, that I feel like I'm a horse that I can put blinders on, and I have to focus on the positive, like being really grateful. I'm so grateful to have great water, to live in Greeley, just our community, how much everybody helps each other and things like that. And the more grateful and the more abundant you are, I just feel like you attract people like that.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And yes, I love this community. I'm very fortunate. We both are that we live here, because the people here are just
try to help.
incredible.
They try to help each other, and I love that. And so the third thing is growth mindset. That's helped me so much, because I'm always trying to grow, whether it's being a senior real estate specialist or helping investors. I just want to know the most, or being a certified negotiation expert. I think you should, no matter what your trade is, try to learn as much as you can so you can service your clients at the highest level available.
Absolutely. And what excites you most about the future, whether personally or professionally? Does anything come to mind?
Yeah, I would say always impacting others' lives and leaving a legacy. So now I'm excited because I'm buying my first commercial building.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's on the west side of Greeley, over by Ames, kind of by Workout West. And it's big enough that we're going to be able to have a one-stop shop to make things really easy for our clients, because they've been asking for something like this. So it has 4 suites. One side will be my team. One side's going to be a mortgage company. And in the lower level, it's also going to have maybe an independent insurance company. Some other service business providers will be able to rent from us as well. So that's exciting, because we can provide even better service, and looking forward to our team growing and impacting the lives of younger realtors and even loan officers that are coming into the industry as well.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What a milestone.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Before I forget, and we're not ending this interview yet, but how can people get a hold of you if they're interested in buying or selling property or their homes?
Yeah. So they can call, email, text, go on our website. Probably if they want to get us immediately, our office line is 970-573-5791. Our website's just junelemmings.com. Any of that email is june@junesteam.com, and I would love to help anybody, both locally, and I think I've told you a little bit about being a realtor matchmaker. So when people are looking for realtors, say they're going to buy a second home somewhere else or they're moving, relocating, they go online and they may or may not get the best realtor available to help them. So if you were to go online and go to Zillow or realtor.com or homes.com, you're going to get a random realtor that's paying for leads. So if you have a great, like kind of a vetted realtor or lender, that's what I do. That's what we're able to help with nationwide and even in other countries. So if you know of anybody, any friends or family that you really want them to be well taken care of, we're able to match them up. There's no cost to you, but we just kind of want to help out.
That's awesome. And with so many years of business experience, like how many years in the industry do you have right now?
23 years.
23, wow. If you could go back in time with all of that knowledge and go show up to your 1 year in business self, what would you tell her?
I would say you're going to do well. You're going to do really well. Do what you're doing, but do it quicker. And don't let fear get in the way and stop you. So I remember after I had my first sell, it was like 3 weeks and I didn't have any business. I was crying. I was like pulling myself. I remember I stayed in bed. I was like, whoa, so like pulling up, as Christy Helzer says, pull up your big girl panties and move forward. Like I would move forward quicker. I would definitely hire an assistant sooner. And one thing, I don't think the rocket fuel book was out then, but because I love having ideas, I'm very creative, I would hire an assistant and do the rocket fuel with them sooner. I would also tell that person, like, I'm a people pleaser. Try to be less of a people pleaser and make better business decisions. Don't just hire people because you feel sorry for them. Make a better business decision with that. Read the Miracle Morning and start using that and implement things. One last thing is I would have joined a team first. I know I said that earlier, but I would have joined a team and been on a team for a few years because it would have been really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Or if somebody's not in that type of industry, find a mentor.
Yes. So, or go work for a company in the industry that they like.
Right.
Yeah.
So before we end, this has gone by so quickly, I could ask you lots more questions, but what do you want viewers to take away about June Lemmings?
So just that I live by the golden rule and that I'm really passionate about real estate and about home ownership. So right now in the market, in today's market, there's a lot of people that are waiting for the interest rates to drop, or they're waiting for something. And I've helped multiple people. I've helped an 83-year-old buy her first house. I helped a couple that was in their 50s that waited over 20 years for the right time to buy in Fort Collins, then couldn't afford it, so they bought in Greeley. The sooner you can buy, it's like planting a tree. When's the best time to buy? 20 years ago, the next best time is today. Don't try to time the market, do it now. And an example I would like to tell you, let's say you're paying $2,000 for rent. $2,000 for rent, that's all going down, the drain, right? So if you were paying $3,000 for a house payment, I know that sounds like a lot. That's $1,000 or more. So that's $12,000 more in a year. So you're going to have a tax benefit. You also have money paying down on the principal. But a lot of times people forget about this. Appreciation it's kind of like a savings account. Mm-hmm. If you buy a house for $400,000 and it only appreciates 5%, that's $20,000 in a year. So you made over $8,000 paying $1,000 difference in a payment. So people just don't look at the math. So I like to look at the math, and I like to look at what's the best timing. So right now it's better to buy a home. I'm getting so many concessions, buy down rates, all kinds of things right now. So my first time home buyers, very little competition for them. If for all the people waiting until the spring to buy, for rates to drop, things like that, there's going to be a lot more competition, a lot less incentives. And a couple of years ago, there was a lot of buyers that couldn't buy, or if they did, they were not buying it they did not have an advantage to buy. So, and if I was a seller right now, if I could wait until interest rates drop, I would do that. So it's really like, have a great consultant, as like how you have a CPA or a doctor. You don't want to change that every time. You want somebody that you really trust. That's how real estate is. I want to be that realtor and my team that's in your life. So you can call me, text me and say, hey, June, what do you think about this? And it's real simple. And you don't have to spend hours interviewing and going through and then not knowing, do you have the right choice? Also, make sure you have a local person. Like with businesses, you want to support local,
Right.
but that's going to be somebody that cares and gives back to the community too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I know you donate to several
Charities and
nonprofits
stuff.
and
Love
volunteer time too. But what's your favorite one?
I don't have
Or do you
a
have a
favorite.
soft spot for it?
So my soft spot obviously is for kids and like domestic violence type situations. So I do a lot for Zach's Legacy, life stories for kids. We do all kinds of things. I'm trying to think.
Like Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah, I do a lot for Habitat for Humanity. Just anything you can think of that's local. Oh, Women's Fund, Women to Women, things like that. That it's fun. You're giving back, and you can have your friends come hang out with you at the same time. So
Right. Yeah, and that's why Greeley's so great, this community, because of people like you. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I'm really passionate besides home ownership, but about creating wealth through real estate, whether it's buying your first rental or if you're used to buying multiple rentals. I love helping people create more wealth. So to give you an example, I have a couple that they don't have a house payment. They're 38 years old. They did 8 different houses with me. I have a 32-year-old. She owns 4 properties. She buys one every year, and she owner occupants lives in it, or owner occupies it, lives in it, and then she rents out to like traveling nurses. So there's so many different ways. If you're interested in investing in real estate and that is a dream, I would love to help that dream come true. Thank you.
Thank you so much, June, for doing today's podcast. I really, really appreciate it. This was really fun.
Thanks. I appreciate being on it too. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, and you'll have to come back in 2025, and we'll do a part 2.
Okay, sounds good to me. Thanks.
Thank you, and that's a wrap.